What's good, man? Y'all know what this is, man. It's your boy Problem Child. Welcome back. We're doing another controversial topic.
Yes, sir.
My co-host here, Mr. Webb.
Mr. Webb. All right. Welcome back, everybody. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to. I'm gonna start off first with him. Normally he starts off this way.
Yeah.
April Studios.
Hey,
you know
man,
what I'm saying?
shout out to April Studios
You know?
for providing us the facility to do what we do.
That's what I'm talking about.
On a weekly basis, man.
Rent free.
Rent free. For the
No
time
charge.
being.
Right. When we start making that money, she can be acting for at least 75%.
Absolutely.
Right. Another shout out to Uppercuts Barbershops on 12th and North. Cedric, John, you know what I'm talking about. Shout out to G's Clippers on Martha King and North. One of my good friends. And shout out to Robert Taylor, who running for city councilman.
Ran for city councilman.
Right in here in Vegas. Just saw him the other day go to Starbucks. He said he lost. He went from 215 to 159.
Drinking Starbucks?
No. He did like 500 push-ups. 100 dips a day and no meat. And I was like, man, he lost with the meat.
No meat Mondays.
Right.
No meat Mondays. Okay. Well, I got a couple shout outs myself. Shout out to the people over at True Cuts, man. If you're ever in Las Vegas, make sure you stop through. And tell them your boy sent you, man. If you go up in there and you tell them that I sent you, they give you 10% off. If you go in there and tell them that you know me, they give you 20% off, man. So shout out to True Cuts and do what they do. So today's topic a little controversial. And this one here, we talked about this one here last time. It got kind of heated, man. But you know, it is what it is, man. This is what we need.
It was a good one.
We have to talk about the untalkable, right?
Yes.
We got to touch those topics where people don't want to talk about. We make people uncomfortable. Because if you're not uncomfortable, then you're complacent, right? And so,
as I was taught that if it don't hurt, then it's not the truth.
Truth hurts.
Truth hurts,
right? So today's topic is: do we still feel like black people still oppressed in America? I'm sticking to my guns on this one here, man. I'm a firm believer that we as black people, I don't think that we are. I mean, we've come a long way since the days of segregation. Since the days of Brown versus the Board of Education. We've come a long way, but I think what's really oppressing us right now is us. I think it's a mental oppression that we're into right now. I don't think it's a physical one. So, this is my thoughts, man. What's your thoughts? You still sticking to your guns from the last time?
Still sticking to my guns. I believe that we are oppressed. We don't own 1% of the wealth in this country.
Okay.
We don't own any factories. We don't have any power. All the progress that we made in the past from 1954, from Brown versus Education to 1964 to the Civil Rights Movement, all that's being repelled as far as the affirmative action in school. Right? The Voter Rights Act was gutted in 2013 by Chief Justice Roberts. That means that no longer they have to regulate the voting in states who have traditionally practiced voter suppression with black people.
Right.
So now they can actually suppress us in many different ways. And I know that there's based off of history, anytime we take 10 steps forward, America's always put 10 steps back.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, but do you feel like a lot of that is self-inflicted?
No, because when you get in the realm of politics, you gotta understand that the most hated person is not the uneducated person. The most hated person in America is the educated black person. And based off of Ida B. Wells' book, 100 Years of Lynching,
right,
all the people that they was lynching was business owners, and there were competitors against them. All the people that was lynching were people who was educated.
Wow.
And just like Richard Wright book, Hunger, he explained, he talked about how he worked at a job in Tennessee, and they told him that's a white man's job. Even though how educated he was, so he had to leave the North and go to Chicago in order to really reach his full potential, which many African Americans have to do their migration in order to do that. But yeah, that's my point.
Okay, all right. Well, fair enough, bro. Fair enough, man. Hey, man.
Right.
Well, we got a couple people on the call tonight, man. So let's see who it is, man. A couple of guests in the house. Let me see here. Oh, brother was already on. Man, you listened the whole time, brother. Welcome to the show, man. Introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself. Where you from?
First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Omar. I'm originally from Montgomery, Alabama. Roll Tide.
Oh man.
Yes, yes, we have to go through that again. We're gonna have to go through that again. But I currently live in Glen Burnie, Maryland, and I just want to say thank you again for having me on.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we're gonna cut your camera off, man, because what we don't do on this show is scream the RT. We don't do that.
Right.
That's a form of oppression within itself, right? Because I feel as though y'all wouldn't be winning as much as y'all win. But neither here nor there. Nick Saban. Shout out to Nick, man. Glad he gone. We got another brother on the call. Let me see who we got on the call here. Who got it? Welcome to Two Guys on the Topic. Please introduce yourself. Tell me about yourself. Where you from?
Hey, fellas. I'm Leon. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am the most opinionated black man in America, if not the world. and I come representing the world champion Milwaukee Bucks. So there you go.
You said the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah. I don't care about what just happened. I'm talking about what happened.
On NBA 2K, the world champion Milwaukee Bucks.
No. Hey, I'm talking about us giving Boston Drew Holiday to make that happen for Boston. So there we go.
Okay, I mean, that's another topic for another day. We do a sports thing too, man. Real talk, no rank sports. So definitely have you on there. Definitely have you on there to give your opinion about.
I don't study the stat data on sports like I do race and history and societal issues. So this is just my preference. It was a long time coming for us. It took us 50 years to get that championship. And I just need to scream it to the world that we are still champions.
Hey, almost as long as it took Alabama to steal our coach. Neither here nor there. Today's topic is... Uh-huh. Today's topic, we talking about do you still feel like black people is oppressed in America? Just want to get your thoughts on it and tell us what your thoughts on it. Omar, we'll refer to you first, brother. How you feel? What's your thoughts on it, brother?
Well, first of all, we're talking about oppression, and I apologize for missing the last taping of the subject, the original subject. But what are we talking about when we talking about oppression? How are we defining oppression?
That's a great question.
So there are different oppressions that we do face. We, of course, the main one is race. There's religious oppression, political. I mean, there are a lot of things that we can say when we talk about oppression, but we're not going to drill down too much tonight on that.
No,
We're gonna talk about it and what everybody, as we would say, the table talk of oppression, and that is, do we feel that we as Black Americans are still being oppressed and, i.e., left behind?
there it is. To narrow it down, so let's go from an economical standpoint, right? Do you feel like from an economical standpoint that we are black people still oppressed?
Economically, we are not as oppressed as probably our parents and grandparents were. But
I don't know him.
I like it, but
but
go ahead with the but.
But
Go ahead with the but.
we are not where we need to be.
Preach.
And I'm going to hit you with this, because if we were not oppressed, can somebody help me and tell me if the NAACP is still in business?
Ooh. They are.
Hey Siri, that's a great question, brother.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
I love the way he stated that, because the way that you say that,
I don't understand.
the people who
She don't understand it either.
that's like asking the sharecropper who was once a slave, you're no longer a slave, so you were better than your grandparents, but technically you're still a slave, right?
Technically, you are still a slave.
Right. And so you go ask the generation after the sharecropper, saying, are you a slave, and are you doing better than Western? But the question is, are we doing it as equally as our white counterparts in this country? Are there systems set up so that we can't pass on generational wealth? Because if systems were, if things were to go out as they were, the people in Tulsa would have been able to pass down wealth to their children.
But
All the black farmers who was chased out of the South and had to run to the North would have kept their land and passed that wealth to their children, and that would have been generational wealth. All the GIs from World War II who were able to get the GI Bill, you know what I'm saying, can purchase a house, can pass that wealth to their children. So that's systematic oppression, where we control the system as far as passing down generational wealth, and that's something that happens to this day, where we're the first one, first one fired, the last one fired.
Last one. Hmm.
Yeah. Hold
okay,
on.
okay.
Last one.
Well, Leon, before we get to you, we got one more brother that just hopped in. Hang on just a second. Dr. Doom, welcome back to the show, brother. Tell us a little about yourself, for those listeners who aren't familiar with you, and where you from, brother.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, born and raised south side of Chicago, Wild Hunnets, no gang affiliation. Moved to Vegas at a young age of 8, 9 years old back in '74. Raised in Las Vegas, so I'm West Coast. Let me get it right. Oh no, there's too many. Hold up, West Coast. But I can represent the East too. No, it's not even the East. It's the Midwest.
The Midwest.
That's
Midwest.
Midwest, because Chicago is Midwest. And like I said, I'm an old head, and I've been around, lived in Atlanta, grew up in Chicago. Raised in Las Vegas, military. Overseas, Germany, Jackson. Come on. So.
Okay. You got
I've been around.
You got a little bit. You got a little bit that you bring it to the table. So we gonna But
yeah, and then like from the last thing, I'm a single man with no kids. So let's stop the stuff about black men being bums and black men. You know what I mean? I got crazy skills. Anybody that know me, they would call me skills, but doom comes from all the stuff I tell them about. But cosmetologist, barber, licensed mechanic, you know what I mean? Certified firefighter, certified EMT. I can go on, you know what I mean? Show you how deep the rabbit hole go. But with all that, my last relationship was, I had my own crib, 250,000. I had a Yukon, with on 20s. I had a Mercedes Benz. But the female that I was dealing with, she graduated from college and made $13 an hour and worked at a bank. But she thought she was too good for me. You know what I mean? And I tell you, she told me I was too old, I was too loud, we not compatible, and she losing being with me. So of course I dumped her after that. But she called me 2 years later, and she had 32 tumors on her stomach, and she was worried about taking care of a sick man. But she got sick before I did, and she was on knock knock knocking on heaven's door.
Hilarious.
Up the roof. You know what I mean? So here it is that I'm almost 60 and I'm in perfect health. I don't have high blood pressure, diabetes. I don't have no prostate problem. I'm fucking with 6 inches. You know what I mean? I'm fucking with 10 inches. Sorry, where does 6 come from? You know what I mean? I'm from the Sheboygan tribe. My Asian name is Hung Lo. My Japanese name is Well Hung. So, let's go on to the next subject.
Wow. All right, hey, welcome to the show, brother. So, Leon, we heard Omar's opinion. Leon, so, do you feel as though black people are oppressed today in today's society?
Okay. That's more of a nuanced question for me, but I'm more of a nuanced thinker. So to answer your question, because my guess is that you want an emphatic yes or no. And I would say yes. If I had to give you an emphatic answer, yes, we are still oppressed. The exception and the exceptions are not the rule.
Oh, okay, fair,
Right.
fair.
And there's a guy named Eugene Robinson. He wrote a book called Disintegration. I think it's one of the best books for Black Americans to understand Black America. And he breaks Black America down into 4 segments.
Okay.
And the first segment is the wealthy, the elite. That's the athletes, the actors, the people like Robert Smith, the people who have shattered the odds and wound up in the most elite areas of American life. You know, the Oprahs, etc. Then there's the middle class, right? The middle class is where a significant number of Black people are. So I'm sure someone would ask, well, where's the oppression? Well, the problem with the Black middle class is it's fragile. And like the brother said a little earlier, last hired, first fired. Last hired, first fired. I want to add to that, lowest paid for the same job, right? So if we're in these situations where we can't accrue wealth fast enough to bridge the wealth gap, right? And we can't hold on to jobs long enough to be able to obtain assets, right? That would become assets that would be wealth producing, right? Then we're still in this situation where we're just a dressed up version of what we were before.
Good. Can you elaborate on the other classes too?
Okay, yeah. So then the next one are the emerging immigrants. That's the Africans. That's the people from the Caribbean. That's the Latinos who are so Black that they have to be identified as Black, whether they like it or not, right? And then finally, there is the underclass. I think the underclass is the most problematic for everyone because, you know, I'm just keeping it real. This is what we refer to as the niggas. You know, these are the ones who generate bad culture. These are the people you're talking about when you talk about how we oppress ourselves because they have a negative influence on the whole. And it's amazing the ways in which some of our best and our brightest find themselves wanting to keep it real and end up around these type of individuals and end up in prison or dead or just stunted as far as being successful people because they've adopted some of this underclass culture, right? But none of that changes the fact that there are only 4 economic resources in the world, much less America. That's land, labor, entrepreneurship, and capital, right? We're heavy on the labor. We don't have enough land. We don't have enough capital. We don't have enough entrepreneurship. There is a tremendous gap in resources that Black people face. We don't have enough home ownership. We don't have enough net income, right? We don't have enough.
Call you Mr. Facts.
What's that?
I said we gonna call you Mr. Facts because you killing them,
my brother.
Don't stop.
So for me, when we talk about oppression, I think of the opposite of oppression. I thought it was liberty, but it's actually freedom. I went and looked it up. Well, with freedom, we're the only race of people in this country who have had to fight for everything. Historically, we've had to fight for everything. Think of one thing that we haven't had to fight for.
Facts.
And we're still fighting.
Exactly.
Preach, Omar, preach, dude. Yep,
so you feel like we still fighting?
Of course.
Yes.
We're still fighting.
Look on a Sunday circular under the real estate section and look at the top real estate agents, right?
Okay.
You are seeing tons of white people selling multi-million-dollar properties, right? With sales, that's one area where if you've got a high school diploma and a willingness to have some grit, you go and take that test, or you go to Shore West or a place like that. You take that test, get that license. You should be able to go anywhere and do anything. You should be on the front pages of these Sunday circulars as the top real estate salesperson. But there's still certain rooms that most of us are just not getting in. Now, factor in that in the 60s, the late 60s, if you go look up the Real Estate Association, you'll see the battles that they were having to even let black folks in.
Right.
Right. So here we are still having these kind of battles just for acceptance. I don't care what white people think about me. I care about what their thoughts in a way that allows them to exclude us from promotions, to deny us mentoring, to not recruit us, to not engage in outreach, to not
Nigga, stop now. No, I mean that in the best way, because
Yeah.
man, it's like I'm listening to me, man.
Well, go ahead and do. See, what's your thoughts on it, brother Leon? We gonna circle
No,
back.
We're good. Go ahead, dude.
Let them top it off. Put the cherry on it. Put the cherry on it.
So anyways, I say all that to say that progress is not destination.
Correct.
Right? We'll know that we're at our destination when we no longer are worried about the economic impact of racism on our lives. We'll know we're at that destination of freedom when a white person is renting from us, when a white person is working for us, when a white person is worried about, geez, I'm at this company and I'm wondering if the layoffs are coming and if they're going to lay me off, right? That's parity. That's equity in a society that is supposed to be all about that. America's supposed to be the place where it doesn't matter who you are. You're supposed to be able to be successful.
Right.
All men are created equal.
That's it.
Preach.
I'm done.
Goddamn Neon Dion.
Right.
Yo.
So, Doom, what's your
Round
thoughts?
it up, yo.
What's your thoughts on it, Doom?
The topic is, are we oppressed?
Today.
In 2000.
And it's yes and no, because certain aspects of oppression we have overcome, like maybe education, maybe military wise, because the military got mixed a long time ago. I was in the military. I give big props to the military, but it's, people be like, it shouldn't be in the white man's army. And dude, it's our army too. We was in there in the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So
It's
we are
ours.
pressed as far as now. I know I'm finna ruffle some feathers here. We are pressed in religion because they divide black people. We Jehovah Witness, we Christian, then we Baptist Christians, then we Seventh-day Adventists, then we did I say Jehovah Witness already? Then we Islamic. We talking about FBA here, Black American, foundational Black Americans. We need to stop all these separations because that Las Vegas got more churches per capita than any place in the world. Don't believe me? Go do the research, because every house on the west side is a church now.
Facts.
So,
Preaching.
getting back on topic of, are we oppressed? In a religious way, we not oppressed at all, because we got the freedom, but we don't have to grasp that every religion we choose is controlled by the others. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If it's Islam, go ahead.
I want to challenge your thing. Are we oppressed education? We're not oppressed educationally.
Religion.
I would question that and say that we are. And the reason why is a book by Dr. Kawungu Kunjufu.
Hey, I would stop right there. I wouldn't argue with you. I'm not finna debate that, because a lot of us, the schools we come from, the environment we come from,
there you go.
You know what I mean? We are oppressed. We don't have the same schools. I was born in Chicago. I lived in Chicago till I was like 8 years old. I went to a South Side school. Everybody was black. The teachers was black. The students was black. Janitors was black. The cab drivers was black. Everything was black in Chicago. And This is where I got muddled out the last time. I said that I grew up in the last generation of Black Chicago where everything was black. Both corner stores where I grew up were black. It was a black corner store here and a black corner store there. We used to have, they used to call it block parties, where everybody on the block brought out food, and then you did your best recipe, and everybody on that block could go from table to table. You know what I mean? So I grew up on the last end of that. I was like 5, 6 years old when that died, and the black community died, and You know, this was when men wear pants and they tuck them in, and women came out the house with rollers in their head.
Right.
I remember that community. You know what I mean? So all this to say is, are we still oppressed? We're oppressing ourselves at this point because the information is wide open. But you do have educational oppression. You do have employment oppression because they still not hiring us. I got a good job. Maybe my employers will see this, and I'm gonna send them a shout out. No name mentioned. You know what I mean? Because they will ask my ass. It's only like 4 brothers work there, and they got certain cliques. They got they got the Hawaiian clique, and then they got the the Caucasian clique, but they don't have no black clique. And I gotta mention this: you can be white and hire all white people. You can be Mexican and hire all Mexicans, but you cannot be black and hire all black people.
But brother,
It's gonna be
Doom,
stuff coming
why
down
is that
from HR.
though?
Man, what you doing
Why is
hiring
that?
all these niggas, man? What's wrong with you?
Why?
So
But
I'm
why
just
is
Why
saying
is
that to
that?
point
That's
out
a great
that
question. Why
I'm
is
just
that?
pointing that to point out that we oppressed in different areas, but far as the knowledge go, that we were here, we were the first race on the planet. We were here 2 million years before any other race existed. All races come from us. You know what I mean? We're the original race. You know what I mean? Caucasian came from
So, Doom,
albino, and Italians or whatever, they came from mixing with albinos. And then, I can go deep in it. I follow the
right.
master
So, Doom,
teacher,
let
but
me
I'm
ask you.
saying all that to say that we oppressed because we're stuck on religion, because religion is what keep us separated as black people. You're Islamic. I'm Jewish, because black are the original Jews now. And the Jews over there know it. That's why they don't allow Jews in Israel to take DNA tests, because they shows them they from Khazar and from Kazakhstan, and they Ashkenazi. And I don't want to mess with all that, but they know that the black people are the original Jews, and that the black Americans, the FBA, we are the most oppressed in the world. And we still came up with rap, country, hip hop. We came up with the
Rock and roll.
refrigerator, we came up with the light bulb. We came up with so what I'm saying is, we oppressed is because if black people would have kept all their ideas to themselves, we'd have been Wakanda, man.
Right.
We
So let me
came
ask
up with the internet. We came
Omar,
up with the cell phone. If we would have kept all our stuff, and then we would have been punishing these dudes, anybody that wanted to get into hip hop or get into country or get into rock and roll, if we'd have been like, yo, we go bomb your house, we would have controlled, and we would have been condemned, because we had like 20 black cities across the nation. They drowned them. White women said they got raped. The first bombing was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they got in planes and threw dynamite sticks down on Tulsa.
Let me ask you a question.
So
because
we oppressed in certain ways,
we had Omar on the
but we
call,
done overcame
and he
so
basically
much.
said, when you talk about, so the question
And
was,
then the ultimate thing, let me say this last thing. They worried about the sunburst because they know that they call it junk DNA, and they scared that the junk DNA might be ignited, and that black in America might become superhumans. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about real Superman, Flash, running fast, flying type shit. How many dreams you had when you was flying?
Hey, let me ask you a question.
That's it. I'm done.
All right, my man. So Omar stated, he said, so why? Because you said something about whites can hire whites and Mexicans can hire Mexicans, but blacks can't hire blacks, right? Why is that? Why do you feel that way?
Because it's the 6% rule put out by the Illuminati.
By the who?
The 6% rule.
What's the 6% rule?
Whenever blacks get over 6%, they're a problem. That goes to 6 feet deep. You know what I mean? Jury of 12 is 666. 18, you 666. 18 wheelers going 66 across the road. You legal at 18, which is 3 6s. Stop it, man. Come on.
The reason why blacks can't hire blacks is because, first and foremost, we still occupy the slave mentality, and white people still occupy the oppressive mentality.
That's not everybody.
So hold
You're
on.
not saying all though. You're not saying all.
Hold on. But I'm saying the vast majority, right? And so being that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah. That's like the niggas in the horrors of Babylon.
you know what I'm saying? Whenever there's when a person has an oppressive mentality, wherever there is uh, black power, there is white fear. Economic black power creates white fear. Educated black man creates white fear. Educated black doctors circling in our community creates white fear. It's
Okay.
the same problem with Tulsa. It's the same problem with Rosewood.
That's why they destroyed all our cities.
So all that creates white fear. And then the white people have the oppressed mentality that even though you're educated, even though you're qualified, even though you have the work experience, you still don't deserve to be over them or even to look them in the eye economically.
So
Can I
Uh,
add one point to that?
Now,
hold
now,
How
on,
many
brother. Before you
brothers?
do, oh,
Go
oh,
ahead, go ahead. I'm
go ahead,
sorry.
no,
brother.
I'm sorry, but before you go, and the reason that mentality is still with us today is there's a quote by Lyndon B. Johnson,
mm,
and I don't know if you're all familiar with it, but it says convince,
LBJ.
if
yeah,
you can convince, if you can convince the lowest white person that he is better than the best black colored person, he won't notice you picking his pocket.
that's right. I agree.
He said, they said, hell, he may empty it for you.
Mm.
So
So you,
Jews
so
for the soul.
so you have to understand that it's a mentality of inferiority that is passed down. It's passed down. So we're
so
gonna do everything we can to ensure that we will maintain it.
okay, so let me ask you a question, brother, because you brought up a great point, right? It's something that's passed down. But what's stopping us from breaking that generational curse, right? Because the way you say, and I understand what you're saying,
Marriage and families.
huh? Whatever.
Marriage and families.
No.
No, no, no. I'm saying what is stopping us from breaking out of that? So we
It,
we as black people we feel like we're being oppressed, right? We don't get the same rights, we don't get the same privileges. But what is stopping us from going out, starting our own businesses, starting our own corporations, buying our own land? Like there's nothing that I'm getting ready to buy land in Louisiana. There's literally nothing that's stopping us from buying our own land. And then when you talk about the education piece of it, and I'm glad y'all mentioned it, because we was just talking about this before the show. We was talking about it. When it comes down to the institutions, privately funded and public funded schools is based off of how many students you have. So the traditional white colleges are going to get more funding because they got a bigger population, right? So right now, if you look at it, Southern has less than 5,000 students in Southern, but right across the street, LSU, 30,000 students. So from a financial standpoint, where's the state of Louisiana going to shift that money to? Are they going to shift it to Southern, and you don't really have that many students, or you going to send that money to LSU? We control that, right? And our people, we're not choosing to go to the HBCUs. We're going to the PWIs. Leon, brother, you got your hand up.
So I want to challenge that, and I want to challenge that on two fronts.
Go
First
ahead.
off, before we get to college, let's talk about K through 12 education. Right?
Okay.
There's a lot of studies that show Head Start is very effective with helping minority students become good students, and yet they continue to not want to fund Head Start. Right? That's intentional. That's deliberate, because that's the one lever that they found that works, and they don't want us to pull it. That's the first thing.
okay.
Next thing, there's choice and charter, right? And in choice and charter, what you found ever since the 90s, right? And you look state by state, you see the number of black people who took those vouchers and they ran. And I don't
Mhm.
fault them for that, but it does show that black people are very concerned about the education of their children.
Right.
Now,
Right.
in every population, you have derelict and negligent parents and guardians, right? We should be no different. We're a reflection of the overall country and society, right? We have the same culture, we have the same values, we have the same issues, right? But when it comes to this choice and charter, the responsible parents got tired of being around the not responsible parents. First chance they got that voucher, they got the hell up out of there. That left a gaping hole in every single school system around the country, right? And leaving such a gaping hole, like here in Milwaukee, we passed a referendum for $252 million to try to fund the schools, right? That's because most of the schools are either closed or open and operating at a 50% reduction in the student population.
Okay.
Right. Within that, we found a lot of possible fraud and other things that are going on. All right. But I mentioned that because because when we talk about education, we talk about a population now with kids who are going to college versus kids who can't even read, they can't count. They work at McDonald's, and if the picture doesn't tell them what to press, they're done. If the register goes down, they can't count change.
Can I interject? Because that's straight out of Idiocracy. And anybody that haven't seen the movie Idiocracy, all you have to do is watch it, and then you make those people in the movie, you make them black. And if anybody seen Idiocracy, anybody on the panel?
I haven't.
No, I haven't.
Nobody seen Idiocracy. That is fantastic. Because when you watch this movie, man, you gonna be like, what the, you know what I mean? You gotta see it, bro. You gotta see it. And I only brought that up. And then my other point was, as you know, black men, all of us on this panel have had a fly ride or something that's real nice. And you was at the light and some other pulled up against you and they looked at you, maybe flipped you off just because you was in a nice car, dude. And you was like, why people? And it goes back to the saying, we can't have nothing. You know what I mean? Are we oppressed? Yes and no. Because just think of it, dude, how many icons we got? As far as going back to Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier, or even Frederick Douglass, bruh. Huh?
But again, in our the oppression educationally within our community is where that we label a person, one of our kids who is exceptionally talented educationally, lame. We label them square.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right. We make
look at this right here. You know,
wait.
I always know.
But who would do it?
I always know other levels to this.
That's
and you got a group of black people
that's self-oppression.
that existed since the 1800s called the boule. Anybody know about the boule? Show of hands.
We are.
And the boule is a group of black people.
Dude, let me make my point.
Go ahead.
Hold on. But so you have this group. We have a people that we try to label as lame, square, foul because they don't
fit the mold.
They don't fit the mold of the stereotype, right?
No.
So
check this out.
Hold on. Wait.
This out. Who came up with those terms though? Where did those terms come from? Did they come from black men or did they come from black women?
Hold on. Wow, that's a good one. I'm not gonna get in that one.
I ain't gonna touch that.
Right.
We ain't gonna do that today, dude.
But yes. And that's the whole thing is that's the self-oppression.
Right.
Is that when a person is bright, we label them. It's the unfortunate thing is that when they come from uneducated mothers in single home and they happen to have a bright child, those mothers will sit there and tell them to put down that book and go play outside. Right? Hold on.
I disagree with that.
No, it's not disagreement. Because Oprah Winfrey, that's her story. In Milwaukee, that her mother told her to put down her book and go play outside. Oprah Winfrey did not become intellectually, not become an intellectual or an educational giant until she moved in with her father in Tennessee.
And start messing with them Jews too.
Hey, so let me ask you a question. Typically in the black household, when your mother tell you to go outside, they trying to do something with your dad, right? Hey, I need you to go outside now.
Right.
And so we and Brother Leon, back to you because you talked on you brought up a great point. You brought up a great point about the education, right? And with the vouchers, what we decided to get away from that environment, right? We wanted to
Right.
give our children a better opportunity.
Right.
Great point. But when you look at the ones that decided to stay, because we're talking about oppression, right? The ones who left, they wanted a better life. The ones who decided to stay, was there something holding back, or did they choose to do it on their own?
There's two things. Two things.
Mhm.
One is when you
Who,
talk
who
about
cooking? Who cooking?
not me.
Who cooking? Somebody got a hibachi restaurant?
That's Doom.
Oh, go ahead.
Doom.
So there's two factors to look at.
Hibachi grill.
There's two factors. Oh, I'll wait.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
Okay, so there's two factors to look at. One is those vouchers are limited. So a lot of people do a lottery system. So if you don't get the lottery and there are no more vouchers, you have nowhere to go. Now you have to finance your child's education on your own. And so
Okay.
when you look at these inner cities and places like Baltimore, Milwaukee, Memphis, Las Vegas, it's if you look at the median incomes and you look at the type of jobs that significant numbers of Black and brown people have, the money ain't there to do that, right? So you're kind of stuck, right? And then the next thing is, like I mentioned earlier, they're negligent and derelict parents and guardians. So they don't give a damn about what's going on. And,
Right.
and one of the reasons that they're denigrating and mocking people who read and think and are articulate is really because many of them have learning disabilities, mental illness, severe trauma. There's nothing like not being able to read. During reading hour, you're supposed to read and you say, "Here they come to go," and people are laughing at you, and you're like, "Well, I can't read, but I can kick some ass."
I can't read. But
Yeah.
who's the ones that's doing the laughing?
Well, the kids are cruel. That's just the nature of children.
Kids are cruel. I had a little kid told me I was ugly the other day. You ain't bothered me. You know what I mean? I put my foot out and I tripped him. But what I'm saying is when we talk about oppression, and I'm a firm believer that it's self-inflicted, right? Because we are the ones that are oppressing us. There's nothing that's stopping it. The dictionary defines it as a forceful act of not being able to move forward. There's literally nothing that's stopping us from going out to buy our own homes. There's literally nothing. Only thing I keep hearing the narrative, they won't let me do it. Right?
Okay. Can I speak to some of that?
Who they is?
Can I
Go
speak
ahead.
to some of that?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
two things I want to bring up right quick. One, when we talk about structural barriers to employment, right? In order to buy a home, you have to be able to afford a property that's two and a half times your annual income,
Absolutely.
and you have to have at least 2 years of steady employment.
Well, depending on where the house is at, with the 2.5 times your income, depending on where the house is at, because you can buy a house in the hood.
Okay, right? And so to buy the house in the hood, you look at who owns the hood, right? The overwhelming majority of homes that are owned in the quote unquote hood are owned by white people, owned by
That's
white
it.
investors. There are Black people who have a hand in it, but it's a very small percentage, right? So
Facts.
if they aren't fixing up the homes, if they aren't getting rid of the rats, if they aren't making sure that the schools are functioning properly, if they aren't making sure that the other city services like fire and police are doing their jobs and not being negligent, that's a huge power void that Black people lack. Now I want to bring up this other thing, this anecdotal, but it's very important to think about. During the summer of protests, everybody was in the house. COVID was the thing. George Floyd had just got snuffed out on social media, so everybody could see, right? If you had friends on social media who were white, you inevitably saw the number of communities that were far away from all the action, but for some reason they decided to put on body armor. They decided to run around with AR-15s and other assault weapons. They decided to say, try that over here. Come protest over here. Do that BLM and Antifa mess over here. And the reason I mention that is because the first question in my mind was, where are the police? And then that question got answered when in Kenosha, which is not far from Milwaukee, not far from Milwaukee or Chicago,
Shout
in
out to
Kenosha. Huh?
Shout out to Kenosha.
Shout out to Kenosha. In Kenosha.
Shout out to Waukegan, fool.
Shout out to Waukegan.
So in Kenosha,
And racism.
there was a young man named Jacob Blake. No, not Jacob Blake. I'm sorry. There was a young man named Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse. Mm-hmm.
Kyle Rittenhouse
Yes, sir.
was 17 years old.
Yes, sir.
He did a straw purchase to buy AR-15.
It's a rifle.
Yep. He said he went to go help clean graffiti earlier in the day, which does not explain why he was out there later on in the evening with a group called the Boogaloo Boys.
Ooh.
Who were also, they're a racist organization. They're called the Boogaloo Boys. And they all had body armor and assault rifles, and they were guarding property. Well, in this case, Kyle Rittenhouse was guarding a used car lot, if I'm not mistaken. Right? And the police were driving around in armored vehicles, handing out water to the Boogaloo Boys, saying, "Thank you for being out here. Thank you for all you do."
Wow.
Now, why is that important?
Great facts, man. Great fucking facts.
So during that time, were they rioting?
There was a lot of protest, a lot of agitation. Now, if I'm mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, there was somebody who set something on fire. Yes.
Carlisle.
Right? Okay. That said, why do we pay police and why do we heavily arm police if we're going to have a militia show up and collaborate with them to do work? Why are they deputizing people who have no training, who have not been evaluated for psychological fitness, right? And who have a defined extreme political point of view. Now, the reason I bring that up is, well, why in the hell can't black people in all these dangerous neighborhoods with all this handgun violence walk around with AR-15s and get our neighborhoods back in order? We could clean all this up in 6 months.
And here's the thing, because you're getting ready, you bringing up my point, right? And we sit and I ask, are we oppressed today? In 2024, are we oppressed today? The blueprint has already been written. Everybody, you ask any kid on the street, Black Wall Street, they know exactly about Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yes.
We've done it in the past. Doctors, lawyers, our own hospitals, our own schools. We've done it in the past. Why can't we do it today?
Well, because it was sabotaged.
Right.
It was sabotaged, right?
Tulsa was sabotaged. Tulsa was sabotaged 3 times. The first time was the famous bombing that we heard about.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, what's not mentioned is that people from all over the country, black people from all over the country, started sending donations to Tulsans and saying, "You had it. We want you to continue to have it." So they rebuilt. Right? You know what happened the next time? They built a highway that still exists to this day. They built a highway right through it. City plan.
Why can't we do it today, though, Brother Leon? That's the question.
Hey, can I please get in on this one?
Go ahead,
bro. The reason why we can't do it today, and I don't want to be the devil advocate here, is because if a man make money and he get on, what does he do? He wants to create a family. Right? He want to get married because he want kids to continue his legacy. It's been proven over and over again. But if a woman get money and get paid, what she want to do? She want to get red bottoms. She want to get her Benz and her big house. She's not thinking about a family in there. That's why most of the women out here, they're in a big house by themselves. Look at Ebony K. Williams. She's the epitome of how you destroy the black family. She don't want a bus driver, but she'll take a crackhead sperm. You know what I mean? Who you think going to these sperm banks, dude? Stop playing.
Hey, we ain't gonna do that. Let me
elaborate.
Okay. I'm sorry. I ain't mean to go so hard in the paint. But come on, man. Walk. I used to work down on Boulder Highway, and I used to have to drive down Fremont every day. And Fremont got like 2 blood banks on it. There's one on Las Vegas Boulevard, and there's one down Fremont, and they open up at 7:00. I mean, not the blood bank, the sperm bank. And when you see them open in the morning, you see who be out in front of that, you know, that joint. It'd be like derelicts, dude. And she's saying, "Oh, I got the video and all that." Dude, black men are setting up foundations, and we want to be families. The oppression part comes in that we can't build as families. If we would have kept the same formula that we had in the 40s, in the 50s, and be families, we wouldn't be oppressed no more. We had like 200 cities before they got drowned, and then white women called rape, and then, you know, all these other forms. We would have been on top, and they didn't want that. So they put the black woman in charge, and we're not oppressed, but we're oppressed in some form. Education, we oppressed. Prison sentence, we oppressed. Even in some form of family structure, we oppressed because you get punished if you're a family that's together, adverse to you a single mom, you get more benefits.
But you know what? I'm going to piggyback in regards to what Leon was talking about how we can't gather AR-15s and and police our own community.
That's
We,
cold as a motherfucker,
wait. Let me speak.
No, that's good.
Right. We tried that. We tried that with the Black Panthers, right? We tried that Black Panther.
We was infiltrated though.
Hold on. We tried that with the Black Panthers, and they passed policies and laws that we couldn't carry our guns and that we couldn't police our community. And that's why in California, you can't open and carry at all in the state of California. So in regards to and when you see, and if you do during that COVID time, 2020, you saw they gave an example of a white man walking around with an AR-15.
I seen that.
Right.
I seen
and the
that.
black man tried to walk around with an AR-15, and the
Arrested immediately.
arrested him. Right. So with that being said, we're not allowed to police our own community because the judicial system, the prison system.
Why you need a gun to police?
Hold on. The judicial system and the prison system benefit off of our stupidity. They benefit.
We don't have a black we don't have a black community.
These small towns,
we don't have a black community.
These small towns that don't have these small towns that don't have any form of factories. Guess what they have? They have prisons, and those prisons are employment to those small towns, and they're making and we're the factory. So as long as
Joliet, Chicago.
Critical criminals, as long
Joliet, Illinois.
they would be employed.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Doing what you got?
Joliet, Illinois is the perfect example of what he talking about. But you know, in regards to the other deal, are we oppressed? We're oppressed because we're not forming the families, and we don't have the male structure in there to move forward, and that's what got us through everything. You know, that we had, you know, like the village thing. It takes a village, because we all know back in the day, it was a lot of black people living in the house. The same thing we was doing in the 60s and 70s, Mexicans doing right now. And we've lost that. You know what I mean? We've lost that because I'm not going to blame this on black women, but a lot of black people got money and wanted to have their own thing. So we move in these white communities, and it's just like in the 60s, we still getting crosses burned in our yard. You know what I mean?
But again,
in a metaphorical sense.
But
so go ahead.
Question again, because I'm a firm believer, and I'm standing 10 toes on this one here. Everything that y'all saying, we have the ability to change, but we're choosing not to. Right?
I disagree.
When we talk about oppression,
hey Jackson, you was in the military, man. It's all about leadership.
Yes.
If they won't accept our leadership, then where are we?
Hold on. Let's question the military. All right. And I'm gonna take it to when Du Bois tried to be a sergeant in the military because he wanted to change.
How long ago was that?
Hold on. I'm gonna bring it up to today. Okay. Let me bring it up today. When Du Bois tried to infiltrate the military, try to be a sergeant in the military, he couldn't sustain the racism that was given in Texas. Right. And then you had in World War I, when Du Bois was sent to actually France to check on the black troops. The first Pan-African League was done. Well, black people was supposed to be digging ditches and stuff, but actually they was helping the France fight off the Germans.
Right.
But and then you go back
And
and
hey, can I add this? Can I add this?
I got one.
They gonna tell a story.
I got one name.
They
I'm
gonna
gonna
tell
shut
a
it
story
down.
later. It's called the black. It's called the black balls. You don't know about this.
let me
These
do
were the
it.
black brothers that drove the Jeeps first. They was the first one to drive the Jeeps, and they made every delivery on time. Just like the red tails, you got the
Dude.
red balls.
Dude, let
Check
him
it out.
prove his point. I got one name, and I'm gonna shut
Oh,
it
I'm
down.
sorry. I'm
I got
sorry.
one-
But he got me excited when he got to talking about the soldiers and shit.
hold on. And you have the
One
then
name.
you had in 2000 in World War II, when the black man was coming home from war, they was being burnt in their uniform, right?
Soldier story.
Hold on, and then you had the GI Bill, where it excluded black people, black soldiers,
Not
from
true.
participating in the GI Bill.
Not
yes,
true.
you did. And even with the Social Security, they participated. 70% of black folks who practice who is in agriculture can participate in Social Security. Right. And then we go back to today, right? When you had the general, the black guy who the general.
Colin Powell. I was just about to bring it up.
I'm not bringing up Colin Powell.
Why not? Why not?
Wait.
You saying
Let me make my point.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
They did. My daughter's they infiltrated. They was finding all the white supremacists in the military. The black general who.
I mean, I get all that.
Hold on.
I get all that. I get all that you're saying.
Martin Taylor Greene voted to have that black man get paid $1, right? He's a general.
Look, I
for
get
$1.
what you're saying.
That's today. That's not yesterday. And he's
look. I gotta interject here because I get what you're saying about the military, but all I can say as a young black man going in the military, it changed my life. Wait a minute. I'll let you talk. It changed my life.
Go ahead. Let him talk. Go ahead.
No, but what I'm saying is, this is all I'm saying. When I went in the military, it was 65 men from all over the country. Black, white, Mexican, Asian, Jews, all of us. And we competed to see who the top. What I found out, I was in the top 10 of everything. I wasn't the biggest. I wasn't the fastest, but I was in the top 10 of everything. I rode the helicopter back when we shot the M16. If you shoot a perfect 40 out of 40, you ride the helicopter back where everybody else got to be a 12-mile march. What I'm saying is the military showed me what I could be. Like back then, the motto was be all you can be. And yeah, it was white supremacy. It was racism. But as a black man, dude, we've been dealing with this shit all our life. Come on, man, stop it. We used to that shit.
We've been dealing with
I mean, I don't even give a fuck about that because we rise. Maya Angelou. We rise. Maya Angelou. No matter what they do to us, we rise. But unfortunately, they cause our women to rise against us. And now that's what's throwing off the balance of the oppression, man.
Right.
I'm telling you, dude.
Doom. You know what? I 100% agree with you in regard to the military of our time period that has a lot of people, including my daughter, you know what I'm saying, a great life. But I understand the sacrifices that those who have made. Hold on. I understand the sacrifices of those who have made and passed policies for that to happen. And I understand during the Trump administration, there were those people who was they fired a whole bunch of white supremacists that was in it. That was allegiance to Trump.
Yeah.
The people who was allegiance to Trump. The previous general was a convicted felon. I forgot the guy's name.
Dude, you anti-Trump and you against Trump. And we had a conversation. I'm gonna have to stop you now. You can go on, but that is rhetoric. Everything you saying is rhetoric, dude. Trump is about to end this madness, dude. I'm telling you. You gonna see. Look, you are gonna become a believer. I'm saying it right here, right now. Look at his face and look at mine and watch what happens.
Flag on the plate. We ain't about to do politics.
No, I'm just saying though, because he be coming with a lot of stuff, and I'm not against him, but I'm not for just, you know, random rhetoric, man. Come on, man. So let's stop that.
Random
Because
rhetoric,
we
bro.
know what Trump
Rhetoric,
doing right now.
not facts.
We know what
Well,
Trump doing.
Hold on,
Hey,
rhetoric.
so-
I
is
so-
know
not
what
facts.
Trump doing.
You're basing. Hold on. You base
Okay.
what I state
Hey,
is
so-
factual, not feelings. So I'm not.
No,
stating
no, no, no. I
I'm
got
stating
some
the
facts for
actual
you
facts.
too, but you
I'm-
tend to
I'm not
dominate the
stating facts. I'm
conversation
stating facts.
by,
What I feel is not an emotional opinion. It's based
it's not
off,
emotional opinion.
it's
Look,
based off
Trump
facts.
is going to be reelected.
Oh my God.
The system is going to
Hey,
be shut down.
Dude,
Look, the system is going to be shut down. Banks will be closed. Internet will be off. Power will be off. When it
so we
come
going-
back on,
we
when
going
it
off
come
topic.
back on.
We going off
Huh?
topic again, dude. We going off
Okay,
topic.
okay, I'm sorry.
We going off
But
topic.
anyway,
And so
I've
here-
already told you that the oppression comes from, see, if you can't unite a family, you can't unite a community. If
But
you
it's-
can't
it's-
unite a community, you can't unite a county.
But
See,
that's
everything is
back to
based
being-
on the family. And if the family is not united, which the black family is not, because
not.
60%, 70%, 80% of us is ran by single mothers who think they could do it by themselves. But you, Mr. Statistics, Mr. Webb, you got all the facts about these single mothers. So one thing we can agree on, that we need to unite as a family, and we'll be less oppressed if we had men to say, if my father would have been in my life, I feel like I would have been a lawyer. Maybe I'd have made it to one of these shows. But my mother, she didn't invest no money. And when I was like 15 and like the fastest dude in the 6th grade, my mother didn't pay for my physical for me to pay Pop Warner. So
Dude,
now
dude,
I'm
I
a
think you need
goddamn
a hug.
mechanic.
Dude, you need a hug. You're gonna need a hug. This
Hey,
is
yo, I give out hugs every day. You know what I mean? I'm a tree hugger. I love the world. I love my race. I love black women. But unfortunately, you know, it didn't work out for me. I'm not mad because I have celestial peace, brother. You have no peace like a single black man. I'm not lonely. I'm alone. But you're never alone because you always have the ancestors and your celestial beings guiding you. That's what women have lost. They lost their spirituality. So when they don't have a man, they're alone. Contact the ancestors. Get in touch
again,
with God. You know what I mean? I'm sorry.
So again, because we getting off topic, right?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I have to go back to, and I got my brother here, right? You talk about facts.
Webb is a cold motherfucker. First of all, I'm gonna say this
He
for
got
the
his
fact.
days.
This nigga is dope as a motherfucker.
He
But
got his days.
sticking to
He
the
got his
facts, I'm
days.
gonna always go back to the women, man, because that's why we oppressed. You cannot be if you got a father in the house, you go teach your son to not be oppressed, to stand up. You go see with a mother and a father. He's gonna go to college. He's gonna have a driver's license. He's gonna not look down on the military. He's gonna know how to respect women. The oppression comes from the breakage, man.
And again, so back to my original point. Is this self-inflicted? Are we doing this to us?
It's both. It's both. It's self-inflicted,
I'm with
but
you on
it's
that.
part of the system
you on
too.
I don't.
I want to go with the driver. The root cause driver
ahead.
is the systemic racism. That's it, bar none. Everywhere you go, you can
Yeah.
go look at the data. You can go look at the research. So you talked about land. Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? Well, we can, and we are. You're not the only person that's looking at land to buy.
Yes,
So
sir.
Yeah.
you have to look at what happens in the aggregate when huge numbers of black people start to do something that is profitable. All of a sudden, there becomes
Laws.
some wave of systemic backlash. Think about the daycares. Black people have been taking care of babies for years. We've taken care of everybody's babies.
Yes.
All of a
The Black
sudden,
Panthers started daycare. They started
absolutely,
preschool. So stop it.
absolutely. So
We cold.
as they're doing that and they're starting to become wealthy, now here come all these regulations. Well, you think about black people and partying. We go to clubs, right? We really don't want to go to predominantly white clubs because we don't like the music,
But we
right?
we tear the clubs up, right?
So
We
black
go up in
people,
that.
well,
36 Mafia got a song out called "Tear the Club Up."
right.
You
Well,
can't go to a club, a black club, without somebody shooting.
fantastic, because that what you're saying is spot on. But now we're looking at capitalism in the United States. What is the purpose of a police force in the United States?
To protect the wealthy.
To serve and protect.
To protect property.
Yeah.
That's it.
I said the wealthy, so who?
Yeah,
they
you said
got
the wealthy.
property,
Yeah, you
so.
said the same thing, which is property, right? So now, let's think of some of these places that have been shot up, right? Let's think of some of these places that were severely hampered by COVID, right? Let's think of all these events that should have just followed the normal thing, right? Like if you own a movie theater and the movie theater gets shot up, that should be it, right? Because who wants to go back to a movie theater where they get shot up?
Look,
Hey,
can I interject right there, because that's a good point, and it kind of applies to this. When I go to the movies, when I used to go to movies with my girl, I used to always tell her, we go sit up in the front and we go sit here, because if somebody come in shooting, we'd be the first to escape, or you could see them and make your move.
Right.
So it's all the oppression. I think we as males see more oppressive things, and we're more, we're more aware of it, because we set up that way. We used to hunt, and we have to see the lions coming or the hyenas coming, so we can see like into the future. And if we don't have the bond of our women, then it makes us more vulnerable, which makes us more oppressed, man. I'm telling you, dude.
Dude, I hear you, brother. I hear you. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hook you up. Man, I got somebody I can hook you up with. Brother
No,
Lee,
no hookups, man. No.
we gonna wrap it up. We're gonna give you closing thoughts. So brother Leon, again, what is your thoughts? How do you feel? Do you feel like present day we are oppressed?
So that's what I wanted to kind of tie this in.
Yes, sir.
When these businesses are destroyed by acts of terrorism,
Yes,
by
sir.
any of that, there is a huge rush of support, and I mean every type of support, to make sure that the public knows that these places are safe. There's a partnership between business owners and police to ensure that anybody that shouldn't be there, that would cause a problem, is removed.
That shit is
If you look
crucial,
at,
right? Them facts,
if you
man.
look, if you look at Summerfest, if you look at Taste of Chicago, if you look at any of these great events, right? They're making sure that confidence is instilled. You can do all that shit in Black communities, but if you take that shit over here, it ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna see gangsters, and you're not gonna see gangsters and disciples and P Stones up at the Taste of Chicago tearing up shit. Not finna
Right.
happen.
So do you feel like the only way we can police our neighborhoods is if we had guns?
I think that the way we can police anything, and the way that we can and that we could spur economic growth, is if we are left alone to our own autonomy. That's the issue, right? You go and buy that land. I want you to go research the history of people who lost their land and the number of ways in which they lost them. They lost them because they went and paid taxes, but somehow the taxes were put on different accounts, and there was no record of the taxes. They lost the land because they were run off the land if they didn't have enough guns or people to help them protect the land. Like my family's land. My grandfather comes from a family with about 5 brothers and 3 sisters. And they were all armed, and they were all taught to stick together and to knock off anybody who tried to fuck with them. Right? That's how they kept their land. Other people who didn't have those numbers, didn't have those guns, didn't have that support, that land is gone. Let's not forget, during Booker T. Washington's Up for Slavery, there's a chapter in there where he boasts about the number of Black people who had land and who had property and who had money. Well, those people didn't just, the earth didn't swallow them up and they just disappear. A lot of that shit was taken from them. I'll make this last point, because this last point is crucial. And this is a visual I give people. Think about where you live and think about where the local prison is. And ask yourself what would happen if we were to put wheels on the prison, lift it up, and roll it the fuck out of that area. It would be a gaping economic hole. And wherever that prison went, they would have a big economic mountain, not only in terms of money, not only in terms of resources, but also voting power. So the question becomes, who benefits from our dysfunction? Who benefits from our poverty? Who benefits from everything going wrong with us, right? There's a lot to lose if we all of a sudden come together and have all this shit and work together and do all these wonderful things. Then we're literally messing with people's retirement plans. And that will invite an incredible backlash like it has throughout history. I'll end there.
Thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate your thoughts. Doom, final thoughts, closing out, brother.
I'm a follow Neon Leon. Yo, that brother, I like that brother. You know what I mean? He's very
likewise,
on
brother.
point. I'm gonna add to that to where go look up the it's called the history, not the history of banking, it's called The Color of Money. Back when black people were set free back in 1875, they end up putting $80 million in Freedmen's Bank, and they closed the damn bank down.
That's it. Oh,
On that $80 million alone, we do reparations. That's why I wanted to add to Neon Leon. You know what I mean? Because you're shining, brother. You're shining. So the other thing I wanted to add was, I feel, my personal thing, that we're being oppressed in religion because they're forcing black people to be certain religions, and you can't get outside that box. Because if remember the election time and all the black leaders, they got to work for Bush and Biden and all that, they went into the churches like, y'all niggas vote for them. You know what I mean? So we still oppressed on a religious front to where they still don't present everything to us. And I love the Lord too. And I love what they call Jesus, even though the J didn't exist in the English language until 1561. All that ties back to Isis, Osiris, and Horus, which was the first family. But what I'm saying is, this oppression is mainly in religion, and it's stopping us from going back to our sources. They found Osiris' grave. They know Horus' tomb. We connected to the beginning, and they still oppressing us, trying to make us be this religion and that religion, and we following along, but we won't trace it back to the source. So I feel like we getting oppressed because the true source of we created our religions, first of all, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, astrology, mythology, Christianity, and Islam. We created it all, but they still forcing us to be under one banner. But we need to go back to the first banner, and then we won't be oppressed.
All right. Hey, well, definitely appreciate y'all brothers for coming on the show, man. Y'all dropped some knowledge on us tonight. Mr. Webb, final thoughts?
I just wanted to say that we need to master the art of persuasion. I mean, yes. I'm talking about on a community level and on a political level. And part of the mastering the art of persuasion is compliment, and then we provide them with the benefits. I need to tell you, brother, you know what I'm saying? You're a brother, you're a king, you this and this and this. But in order to get to this and this there, I'm going to show you what this program will help you, and these are the results. We need to show America, okay, white America, okay, hey, nice house, nice job, nice kids. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but you know what? If you don't want if you want this country to grow and things to get better, you know what I'm saying? We need this.
Stop the oppression.
I'm gonna show you this and this and this. I'm gonna show you different examples of. I'm gonna show you a Robert Smith. I'm gonna show you a Michael Jordan. I'm gonna show you different examples of black wealth and what this country can be. And it's like when you marry emotional consistency with logical consistency, you produce a high rate of success. And this, to me, what Du Bois was trying to do, he was trying to infiltrate the political system, and that's how we got Obama. That's how we got the civil rights movement. That's how we get all these things.
We got more black icons than anybody in the world.
Right. That's how we got all the things we have right now, as far as
and I'm gonna allow y'all to get y'all final thoughts out, and I'm gonna give you mine.
And so if we come together in regard to mastering the art of persuasion in its truest form, I mean that we have to educate ourselves, we have to lift ourselves up, we have to focus on our health, focus on our spirit, focus on our family, focus on our community. You know what I'm saying? And we learn all this stuff. I think that we can actually get ourselves out of this oppression but but regardless of the
It
success
takes
that we had,
families.
regardless of success we have had, because in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we have black families. In Chicago, Red Summer, we have black families. In Roseville, we have black families. But even with those black families, they got bombed, they got ran out, the whole 9 yards. So we have to understand and learn from our history, so we won't repeat it.
That part.
And try a different
different
avenue
approach.
that we can actually reflect on. That's work that wasn't destroyed, that is actually still in existence today. And the only thing that's existing today that worked yesterday is the Nation of Islam. But go ahead.
Hey, I agree.
You're a scholarly motherfucker, man.
You brought up some great points, but I agree. I brought up some great points, but I disagree with you. And here's my whole thoughts and my final thoughts on it. And again, like I said, I definitely appreciate y'all for taking your time out to come on and drop some nuggets on us for the night, man. I truly appreciate it. But the final thoughts that I'm gonna share this with y'all, and I'm gonna leave this with y'all, man. We as black people, we've come a long way, right? One of the things that Brother Marcus talked about, he talked about, the military, right? And I bring up, I have to bring up the fact that we've come so far. Colin Powell was the first black general, right? And it's not to say that there
No,
hasn't been
it's more than the general. He was commander of the.
he was a
Go
part of the Joint
deeper,
Chiefs of
man. Go
Staff.
deeper.
He was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Boom,
So
nigga, bomb.
what I'm saying is we've had a black president. We've had a black man run the most powerful country in the world. I mean, the most powerful country in the world. What I'm saying that is we have the ability to move forward as a people, but we're choosing not to. The only reason we're oppressed in 2024 is because of us. Period. There's nothing and I'm still searching. We're gonna finish this topic on Sunday, and we're gonna bring the young ladies on the show. We're gonna try to get their calls. We're gonna try to get their feeds back on it. But I'm still trying to figure out who the they are, right? And so when we have these conversations and we keep talking about it, right? And Brother Leon, I revert back to what you were saying about our neighborhoods. We don't need guns to police our neighborhoods. We adapt, we overcome. When
I can tell you. I'm sorry to interject. I know it's your show. I know it's your show, and you're rounding it out. But I'll tell you who they are. Right? I'll give you. Okay. So we got Alec. That's a they. We got the Heritage Foundation. That's a they. We got the Manhattan Institute. We got the Bader Foundation. We have Rupert Murdoch. We have PragerU, which is funded by billionaire right-wing extremists.
ACLU.
We have the Koch brothers, right? We have billion-dollar elites, man. I'll stop there. That's enough right there to get you to doing some research. Wow.
We'll have you back on the show. We'll
Yes,
have you back on the show, and we'll talk about this one. We'll circle back.
And one more thing. Colin Powell. Read some of his works and see what he has to say about racism in the United States.
I know he went through a lot of it. He went through a lot of it through the ranks.
Did you see the Reggie Jackson interview?
Yeah, yes. I seen that too.
And during the Republican National Convention, back when Colin Powell was part of the group for George W. Mm-hmm. He looked around and he said, "When I look around, there's no people out here who look like me."
Absolutely.
And we need to change that.
Absolutely. And I agree with you, Brother Leon. 100%.
If he was able to, black people would be Republicans right now.
100%. I agree with you. But again, it all goes back down to a choice. Hey, so that being said, I love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all coming out on the show.
Likewise, bro. Love you too. Love y'all too.
Definitely have y'all come back onto the show. Do me a huge favor, man. Y'all see the show out there. Y'all hit the like button. Y'all subscribe. Tell a friend.
Sure.
We are definitely out there, and we're gonna touch on the topics.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe, like, share. Man.
That's right.
All right.
But in between time, man, y'all love one each other, man. Y'all be good to yourselves and y'all take care of yourselves while y'all out there, man.
All right.
Peace and blessings.
All right.
All right, y'all.